It starts with the text message or the phone call and someone says they want to come over, and your stomach drops immediately, and your mind starts racing, and suddenly you're home. Doesn't feel like you're home anymore, because now it belongs to a future version of the day, where someone else will be inside your space, breathing your air, sitting on your furniture, existing where only you are supposed to exist. You say yes because saying no feels impossible, and then you spend the next hours or days dreading it and cleaning obsessively and rehearsing conversations and counting down the minutes until it's over before it even begins. And when they finally leave, you don't feel happy that you saw them. You feel relief, like you just survived something, like your nervous system can finally exhale. People think you antisocial or rude or a bad friend, but they don't understand what it costs you to let someone into your space, and they don't see the invisible war happening inside you every time the doorbell rings. But there is a reason you like this, and it goes deeper than introversion and further back than you probably realize. Here is what no one ever told you about why your home feels sacred in a way others don't understand. Your home is not just a place, and for you, it is a psychological boundary, and it's the only space in the world where you don't have to perform or mask or manage how others perceive you. It's where your nervous system finally gets permission to rest, and when someone enters that space, they not just visiting your house. They recrossing into the one place you've built. For survival psychologists call this territory psychology, and it's the deep instinctive need to control your immediate environment. But for people who hate having guests, this instinct is amplified, and it's not about being controlling. It's about protection. And it's about maintaining the one space where you feel truly safe. And here's where it gets interesting, because this need for protected space almost always traces back to something in your history. Maybe you grew up in a home where your boundaries didn't exist, and people walked into your room without knocking, and your privacy was treated as optional, and you learned that space was never truly yours. So now as an adult, you've finally created what you never had. And the thought of someone disrupting that feels unbearable. Maybe your childhood home was chaotic and unpredictable and filled with conflict or noise or tension that never stopped, and now silence and solitude aren't luxuries, they necessities, because your nervous system is still recovering from years of overstimulation. Maybe you were the child who had to be perfect for guests, and you remember being trotted out to perform and smile and make the family look good. And now having people over triggers that same exhausting pressure to be someone other than who you actually are. This isn't about being a bad host. This is about your home being the only place where you finally get to stop performing. But there is another layer that most people never talk about. And if you hate having guests, this will feel uncomfortably familiar. You might struggle with something called evaluation anxiety. And the fear that people are judging your space and your stuff, and by extension, your worth. Every item in your home feels like evidence of who you are, and when someone walks in, you not just showing them where you live, you showing them your taste, your income, your cleanliness, your choices, your entire identity laid out for inspection. And that vulnerability is exhausting, even when no one actually says anything, because you saying everything to yourself. You're narrating their judgment before they even have one. So you clean frantically before they arrive, and you apologize for things they didn't notice, and you can't relax while they read there, because part of your brain is constantly monitoring their reactions and reading their faces and wondering what they really think about you based on what your bathroom looks like. This isn't shallow. This is hypervigilance turned inward. And here's the truth that will finally make you feel less broken. You don't hate people, and you don't hate connection, and you're not incapable of relationships or friendship. You hate the invasion of the one space that allows you to be yourself without performance and without evaluation, and without the exhausting labor of managing how someone else experiences you. Your home is your nervous system's only sanctuary, and protecting it isn't selfish, it's survival. And the people who don't understand that have probably never needed a sanctuary the way you have. So what do you do with this? You stop apologizing for preferring to meet elsewhere. You stop forcing yourself to host when every part of you is screaming no. You stop believing that being a good friend or partner or family member means opening your door whenever someone wants access. You protect your space the way you protect your peace because they're the same thing. You set boundaries not as rejection, but as preservation. And if people do understand, then they do understand, but that doesn't make you wrong. It makes them unaware of what it costs some people just to exist in a world that constantly demands access. Your home is yours. Your solitude is valid. Your need for uninterrupted space is not a flaw to fix, but a boundary to honor. You are not broken for wanting your space to stay sacred. You are finally protecting something that no one protected for you when you were young enough to need it. And that is not antisocial. That is the deepest form of self-respect you've ever learned.